When watching a horror film or playing a horror game, one thing is consistent between the two of them, and that is an overwhelming fear of the unknown. Both games and movies do this in different ways and play with the viewers as much as possible. For films, we are usually introduced to the monster creature that is meant to cause fear, but we are left in the dark with how it works and how to take it down, leaving us with the fear of the unknown. And for video games, it usually builds up the fear of the unknown through the tension it provides, allowing us slight glances of what we should be afraid of before quickly hiding it away once again. But first, what exactly is the fear of the unknown? In many of our lives, we often fear things that we do not understand, which has been caused by our brains fearing situations that we don't know as they could potentially be dangerous. If we don't understand how something works or what something exactly is, then this causes great anxiety in most of us, so of course horror is going to play off of that. And a lot of the best horror media in the past decades have been examples of playing with this fear in some sort of way. From Iron Lung to Five Nights at Freddy's, and even to films like Annihilation and Nope, which greatly play off this fear in different ways. Speaking of, spoilers for these games and films. If you haven't watched or played these games yet, then go do that. Seriously, go check these out. These are some of the best horror IPs from the past 10 years. If you haven't watched or played them, then you are truly missing out. Also, before continuing, make sure to let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these games and films. Do you think that they are effective? Do you think they're not? Some people may agree, some may disagree. Okay, now let's continue. First off, let's look at the game Iron Lung. Released in 2022 by David Szymanski, Iron Lung is a deceptively simple game. We are trapped in a submarine with next to no space in an ocean full of the unknown. What could possibly be down here? What are we truly looking for down here? This is a space that seems truly lifeless, or is it? Iron Lung makes you ask all these questions while playing, if not more, and it causes a level of paranoia that is not especially common in a lot of horror games. You are always wondering if your ship is going to run into something that you don't know. There could be literally anything down here. All you have to see the world around you with is this tiny window, which truly doesn't reveal a single thing, and the camera processor in the back, which gives us subtle glances of what the world around us looks like. And you can see your oxygen within the ship slowly ticking down, leading closer and closer to your inevitable demise. And past a certain point, you start to realize there's no true escape here. Your oxygen is low and you are miles deep within this cave system. It's a truly ominous feeling that's hard to describe if you haven't played the game yourself, but the slow unraveling dread when you start to realize just how doomed you are is next to none. And that's not even talking about our little friend who starts to become more visible throughout the runtime. We first see him in the background watching us from one of the artifacts, telling us that this ocean is not in fact as empty as we once thought. Instead, we are stuck in here with whatever this thing is. And honestly, it's a very disturbing realization as we don't know what this thing wants and if it's hostile or if it's not. But we do know that it's a big motherfucker, and honestly does not look friendly. Then upon collecting about 2/3 of the artifacts while traveling, you start to notice a bunch more beeps than there were there before. So let's go take another picture. Let's see what's around us at this very moment. And this scare is extremely effective and plays off the fear of the unknown better than most games I've seen, and I say most of as we're going to be talking about another one soon, but this scare does the fear of the unknown perfectly. When taking the photo, you know that something has to be around, but you're not expecting the eye to be looking directly at you from the camera, giving a moment where it seems like whatever is out there is sentient enough to recognize that you do not belong. It is a perfect payoff for the atmosphere at play here, as we've been waiting on the edge of our seats in anticipation of what could possibly be out there, and we get short glimpses of it, but here in this part we get to see it in its full glory. It uses the fear of the unknown to a wonderful effect, as we know that something was in there, but we didn't know exactly what it was or what it is, and if it's something that we should be afraid of, but in this moment it's revealed to be a threat to us directly. This fish is not a friend, but is in fact a foe. It is a wonderfully direct confrontational moment, which leads me to my next IP, that of course being the famous I think sometimes we forget just how effective the original FNAF game is. It's not just a basic kids horror game like we know the franchise as now, instead it's a deeply frightening experience that plays with the fear of the unknown perfectly, dropping us off in a job we do not understand and a dark pizzeria that is filled with unpredictable robots. It is a deeply disturbing and frightening experience if you've never played it before. Where the fear of the unknown really comes into play here though is within the entire pizzeria itself. We have no idea why the animatronics are so hostile at this point, and while we get some slow little snippets, the game never truly tells you what's going on here, leaving you quite literally in the dark. You don't know how these creatures behave, and they move in unexpected ways towards you, slowly inching closer and closer without exactly knowing what your fate is going to be. And honestly, it's a bit of a masterclass in portraying the fear of the unknown, as just like Iron Lung, it draws us off in a location where we have no idea what's ahead of us, only giving small snippets of info to help us move forward. I think people sometimes forget just how loreless the original FNAF game truly was, especially in comparison to the sequels that came afterwards, giving every single animatronic some piece of lore. All we really get is some snippets of newspapers, and that really just hints at something horrific happening here, but never really gives us the full picture of why these animatronics are attacking us. And honestly, this is one of the reasons the sequels somewhat floundered, as many of the games tried to over-explain every single aspect, removing the fear of the unknown that made the original game as creepy as it was. Not to mention the sound design also blending in the fear of the unknown, with pots and pans being thrown around signaling that something is nearby, but you can't check to see how close the animatronic actually is due to the camera in the kitchen being out. It's wonderful world building, and there's a reason the original game was as effective as it was, and still remains as effective as it was to this very day, just like the next one that used the fear of the unknown to its greatest strength, that of course being I actually haven't really talked about Nope on this channel yet, and honestly it's a bit of a disservice that I hadn't yet. In Nope we follow the Haywood family as they train horses for film productions, but one night the horses begin to act somewhat strange. They begin to become violent, and people start to notice what looks like a UFO flying around stealing their horses. During a show started by Jupe, the showman and the mark manager nearby, we see the UFO suck up and consume the entire crowd, Jupe included. The UFO then begins to go on a tirade, attempting to kill nearly everything that enters within the valley, and this entire first section of the film works incredibly well, as we never really get a good glance of the UFO. Instead, the scene of everyone getting sucked up is portrayed entirely in shadow. We have no idea what the threat is here, besides the fact that it's a UFO and it's eating people in the most gruesome possible way. This is a perfect display of the fear of the unknown, as what makes the UFO as scary as it is within the film is the fact that we don't know hardly anything about it whatsoever. All we know about it is that it likes to consume people in the most gruesome way possible and doesn't leave any remnants behind of any of its past victims. And honestly, it's somewhat Lovecraftian in style, with almost every single person who does see it has a really hard time trying to describe what they witnessed, as how do you describe something you don't truly understand? And honestly, this is why the second half of the film flatlines, as once we see the monstrous UFO, all of the weight that we had from the unknown had been completely lifted. This shows another major aspect of the fear of the unknown when it comes to filmmaking and media creation, which is that once you finally decide to reveal it, if at all, it's gotta live up to the expectations of what people have in their minds in the first place. Usually it's a much safer bet, however, to just leave it in the unknown, as sometimes people's expectations can be set too high, which definitely is the case for Nope. Honestly, it's not even the film's fault, but rather it just doesn't live up to the expectations set by the film in its first half, and that's honestly fine. That's because the first half of it is just that memorable, with no moment where that fear of the unknown doesn't radiate over the scene, with nearly every moment casting that fear that something could go horribly, horribly wrong. Which is something that the next film does, that of course being I've talked about Annihilation on this channel before multiple times, but mostly in the sense of its cosmic horror, which has heavy roots in the fear of the unknown, but this time I wanted to focus instead sharply on the fear of the unknown aspect within it. This mainly comes from the first half of the film, where Lena is interrogated for her experience in the Shimmer, an anomalous zone within Florida where DNA of all the creatures caught within begin to morph and mesh together, making a horrific amalgamation such as alligators with multiple rows of teeth and bears that can imitate human speech. But where the fear of the unknown comes from the entire film is not just the Shimmer itself, but rather the fact that it's revealed at the very beginning that she was the only survivor of the mission in the first place. This one small bit of information is the foundation for the rest of the fear of the unknown within the film, as we know that whatever is within the Shimmer must be extremely dangerous if she is the only survivor of the group of people who went into it. And at this point, we really do not know what resides within, and that makes the scenes of them exploring the Shimmer that much more frightening, as we know that all but Lena died, so anyone can be taken out at any point that isn't Lena. And we also have no idea what took them out in the first place. It could be literally anything within the Shimmer. And then there's the Shimmer itself. We have no idea how it works besides it splices DNA, and it's even better as the film never really tries to even explain it. Rather, it leaves it all up to the viewer's imagination how it works, making it even stranger when at the very end it's revealed that after she left, that it rapidly disappeared, leaving the zone completely normal. This leaves the fear of the unknown in the viewer's mind, as we have no idea whatsoever what the Shimmer is, and the film never gives a full explanation, leaving you completely within the dark. This honestly makes Annihilation a masterclass within the fear of the unknown, as almost every single aspect of the film is pulling onto that fear, and unlike Nope, it continues throughout the entire film. This includes the final scene, making us ask, did Lena actually survive, or did her doppelganger? It's wonderful filmmaking, and honestly one of the biggest exemplifiers of why the fear of the unknown is as important as it is for horror. And to finally end this all out, all of these creations exemplify the fear of the unknown to its highest degree, and without the fear, these creations would not be the same. Just like I've said before, horror is all about using different techniques in tandem with one another to create a frightening experience, and these creations all do that to different degrees. However, the driving force behind all of these is the fear of the unknown, and it's one of the most powerful tools that a content creator has at their disposal. And that's all for this week. Make sure if you haven't already to like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. And I'll see you all next week.